Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Things became a bit more clear, didn't they? Let me explain that a little bit, what I say. In my title there, that the Crew Motorfest has become a casual game. We always sort of had this big community of players. And it was sort of divided in what I call the three seats, being the competitives, the cruisers and the casuals. In the Crew 2, it was sort of about 20-25% competitives. A bit larger group were the cruisers, were about 30%, 30-35%, and then something similar, 35-40% for casual players who did not cruise around, who did not do anything competitive, being a summit or a grand race or something. As time moved on, I think the numbers have changed drastically. And what do I mean by that is, obviously they must have lost a lot of one of the C groups, being the cruisers. They must have lost those because you're coming from the Crew 1 and the Crew 2, you have these big islands, or big island, 2,000 square mile map that you could drive around on. Let's say if you took something like a Street Tier 1 car, it was about 2 hours, I think. If you drove around, if you started on the Miami Keys and you drove to New York, Chicago, Detroit, up to Salt Lake City, and then Seattle, and then come down to San Francisco, LA, you go to Santa Fe, Dallas, Tampa Bay, and back to the Miami Keys, it was about 2 hours. Of course, here you have an island, in something like a hypercar, you can go around in Oahu about 7-8 minutes probably, 4 or 5 minutes around Maui. Let's stretch that out a little bit, about 15 minutes, you can go around both of the islands. That of course made them lose a bunch of cruisers. They didn't bother buying this game, the map was too small for them. So that group must have been diminished quite a bit. The competitors are still around, being showing up every Wednesday for their summit, and then from time to time doing their grand races. But that group also has diminished in numbers, more than likely. So I think we're at the moment, we're looking at about maybe 10% cruisers, not even. The competitives sort of jumped over those guys, and I'm assuming 15-20% are competitive players, people that show up every Wednesday to do the summit, and in the weekend and other moments they will play grand race. Those are the competitives, and all the rest are casual as fuck. Which means then we're talking about 60-65% being casuals. People that don't give a shit about, maybe they play the summit from time to time, but they don't really care for it. And grand race, they're just fooling around, memeing around, driving limousines on those grand races and so. And that became clear today as well, because we have, for instance, Season 8, we have ranked racing coming up. It's in 2 weeks. Did they mention anything about it? No. No, the focus is on the casuals, so they are step by step, obviously getting closer to the start of Year 3, the start of Season 8, which is November 5. They start releasing some more information. So you would think that you get your information about the ranked racing and the underground playlisting, you would get that first. No. They decided to focus on Season 9 first, and on the casuals and all that stuff. Competitives, we were hoping on the island on the north of Oahu, which at some point in time they were working on, because at some point in time you could go there with a boat or a plane or something, and you would hit a hidden wall, but once you hit the hidden wall, then it would say on the right top, WIP. In other words, work in progress. So did they abandon that project, or was it not ready? Are they still working on that big island on top there? That should be geographically compared to IRL, that should be Kauai, Kauai. That would be the island on the top. Apparently it was not ready, or they decided to change direction and do it later. I still think we're going to get that one at some point or another. I'm assuming year 4. We also meanwhile know that they started developing the new Crew game, whatever that will be. The Crew 3, the Crew 4, Motorfest 2, whatever they will call it. I expect that somewhere to show up 2028 would be my guess. So this is year 3. I think we're still going to get a year 4 and probably also a year 5. That will be stretching it, I think. I don't think we're going to go much further than that, because by that time the new Crew game will be ready. And then they did release this today. So this is the first information a bit more in depth of the showcase. The new year, the new season starts in 2 weeks. There is not much information about it. So it seems to me that also this thing was not 100% ready yet, so they sort of pushed it back a bit a season, which means that season 8 is just going to be a season like we have been having a few of those, with just 2 playlists. And the competitives, not that important for Ivory Tower, with only being 15-20% of the community. We'll give them ranked racing. That's it. Next subject. They didn't elaborate on it, so I also don't expect any big changes on Grand Race. I think Grand Race is going to be exactly what it is now, with BAM! A ranked mode stample on it. Also not thought through, so we're going to get some mixture of casuals and sweaties in one lobby. The sweaties will be driving for their rank, the casuals will have frozen their rank, so you have a very odd situation where you're going to have a lobby with 28 people and half of them are doing ranked racing and the other half has frozen their rank and will not be doing ranked racing. You don't have to think too long about that to realize that they should have thought through with that thing and think like that might be a problem. I see a problem with that. The fact that you can freeze your rank, that means you can already see it. A team of 4 people, 2 of them have frozen their rank. They take some limos or whatever, who knows what, in Street Tier 1. They start blocking and ramming people with those limos, while their teammate, the other 2, who didn't freeze their rank, can just go on and rank up. You see some other people who are just going to annoy some of the people which are actually trying to rank up or sweat it out and grind for their legend rank. And other people will show up in that lobby and just ram those people in the forest and blocking them and all that kind of shenanigans, because they have frozen their rank. Having ranked and frozen ranked in one lobby, in other words, we have people driving ranked, we have people driving unranked. They didn't even bother to separate those 2 lobbies. No, they're just gonna put everything together and have fun, boys. That's how much they care for the competitive community. The summit is more and more a cheese fest. It always was. You already have the weird situation where in the beginning of the game, some of the sweatiest people out there were using a third-party wheel mode because it's tier sharper than what in-game was giving them. Instead of, in theory, that is terms of service bannable offense. In theory, they could ban those people. But what did Ivory Tower do? They say like, no, we'll humor these people, and instead of banning them for using a third-party software, they decided to make their own wheel modes, and that's the direct mode now. That's why we now have direct mode in the game. But the third-party software wheel mode is still better, still sheer sharper or whatever than the direct mode. So it's not important. The competitive community that became clear today is not important to them. It's all about the casuals, because otherwise they would elaborate on that ranked racing, they would make that information public first, because that is the thing that's coming first in 2 weeks. No, not important. This is more important. A playground island in the middle of the map with 2 ovals. They have a collaboration in March with NASCAR. There will be an oval over here and there will be an oval on the right side over here. So you have 2 tracks where you can go around in circles. Let's hope for the competitives. Let's hope for the sake of us all that they keep that thing out of Grand Race. Because I can tell you right now what is going to happen. That was already a thing in the Crew 1 where we also had like 2, 3 or 4 ovals or whatever it was. And there it was in PvP. People find that boring as fuck, driving around in circles. So what happened in PvP where you, I don't know what it was it 5 laps or 8 laps or something you had to do in PvP? What happened there at the start is people would turn around and drive the opposite direction, causing crashes and all that kind of shenanigans. So if you for some reason or another see this ivory tower, whatever you come up with this NASCAR, keep it out of Grand Race for the sake of us all. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. People are going to find that boring and they're going to start messing around and turn around on the start and causing all kind of crashes. So this is the focus here. Kahawalawe is the playground island. All kind of things, whatever. They seem to have the little islets over here. They seem to be connected by a new road connection over here, as I put it up here. And then there seems to be a new road coming from Diamond Head, going sort of to this small island. I don't think this is an island. I think this is a tunnel connection which will connect to the playground island and then probably also to these 2. These 2 are also, this is Molokai and Lanai. Both of these are geographically out of order in such a way that Molokai and Lanai in real world are actually in between the 2 islands. These little islands over here, so for a second I was thinking like, okay, Molokai over here, that is this part here, over here, and then Lanai is this island over here, but it's not. It seems to be that they sort of pull them away and put them over here in an enhanced version. Now, what I think that these are the Track Force Islands. You can see there is no city, there are no roads on any of these islands. These are 2 sandbox islands. And you're gonna go there with your track force, the track editor, and you have to create your own. So this part of the map is more than likely gonna look differently on everybody's game. Because I might not do anything and just leave it like that, then there are no roads. You might play around with that and make a track over here on this island and a track over there on that island. Or you may do all kind of shenanigans and connect these 2 islands. The track force editor it's all on bridges and so it's a certain, there is a certain height involved, and you can do loopings, and so you can sort of make this island an enhanced version of this small playground island. So in the playground islands you're sort of going to get a feel of what is possible with that track force editor. This is sort of, let's say, a track force version of what the devs have done, and then you can see there like, hey, we can do loopings, we can do this, we have magnetized roads, we can do this and that. Sort of gives you an idea, and then you go to that sandbox island, those 2 sandbox islands here, and you create your own tracks. It's also possible that they didn't have enough map designers, that they decided to let's give them a track editor and let's make them create tracks for us. That's sort of also what it's anyway, some freedom shit where people can play around on. Again, for the biggest group of the community being the casuals, they need some stuff with freedom to do. Well, they gave them some stuff. They gave them a playground island and they gave them a sandbox island where they can go mayhem. But that of course means that we are still stuck, from a driving and racing perspective, we're still stuck with these 2 islands here. Ohio is kind of okay, has a bit of highways, not that many. The rest is a bit of twisty roads, some gutter corner shop and stuff like that. So it's kind of okay. Maui is a very boring island when it comes to driving and racing. There are not many twisty roads. There are basically a bunch of high roads, and then you have a coastal road, which if you, for instance, here, everybody knows this track by now, right? It's like you start in the city, you drive around here, and it goes like left, right, left, right, left, right. And then they say like, yeah, but it has corner. Yeah, not really. It's basically a highway and with S shapes. There are 2-3 corners where you either need to hit a gutter or slow down a little bit, but all the rest you can take full speed, even in a hypercar. So pretty boring. I find this island pretty boring. Some people were hyped about this island. I never liked it. There is no grip anywhere on this island, especially the dark asphalt has no grip. In the tunnels you have no grip. The tunnel grip, where is the tunnel grip? It's on the walls. Where is the grip in those two cities that they have? It's on the footpaths. It's on the light asphalt. And the footpath is light asphalt, light colored asphalt. All the dark stuff is slippery and sliding no matter what car you show up with, maybe except for Alpha GP, which has a bit of grip on the island. Bikes surprisingly also have grip on the island, but any of the other cars you slide all over the place. So from a driving and racing aspect, I never liked this island. This highway bores the hell out of me. All these grand race routes were every time over this highway. This is also something where I think like they could have done more with that. Why is there only one bridge connection between these two islands? We have a point over here, there is a point over there. You could have made another connection there. You could have done maybe even a boat race, grand race, start on that island with some car, switch to the boat, do a little bit of parkouring here to get to the other island, and for the last part in grand race you switch to another car or something. Opportunities, possible. We never seen boats, so yeah, if you want to upgrade your boat, you're gonna have to do it with loot boxes or something, because there are, in the playlist even, there are only like 2 boat events or something like that, or 4 or whatever it is. Ocean and Sky playlist, the only thing which has boats, and they're not necessarily fun to do, because you have that stupid storm winds that they put in those playlist events in Ocean and Sky, as well for the planes as for the boats. They are annoying as hell. The wind pushes you out of checkpoints, so they're annoying events to do if you want to upgrade your boat. So the worst way to upgrade your planes and your boats, drive around the map, loot boxes. That's the best way to do it. So yeah, this is what they gave us here today. The focus, also in the showcase itself, the focus was more on Season 9 than it is on Season 8. Although Season 8 is the first thing that shows up. It seems to me they were not ready. They were not ready, and so what we're basically going to get in Season 8 is a normal season with 2 playlists. One being that underground thing with free race. Some people are excited about those player races. I think it's going to be boring as hell. I think you can compare it with the free roam races in Forza Horizon. Nobody liked that. You did a race in PvP, and then before you went to the other race, you actually had to drive there. So that intermediate section was a free roam race. You even get some points for that or something like that. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but nobody liked it. That seems to be what they've done with that new playlist. So you're going to start a race, but you don't know where you're going, because you will see suddenly a flare. You have to drive to that flare. How do you get there? If you want to fly over mountains, be my guest. Some people are excited about it. I don't think I'm going to like it. It's going to be some stupid shit again where you have to fly over mountains. That will not take long before people start cheesing that shit. You can see it, if something can be cheesed, some people will do it, and other people are saying like, oh, you guys are doing that, then we're going to find something else. Perfect example is the speed trap in the summit. If you do the speed trap, for instance this week, we're driving with a Street Tier 2 vehicle. The speed trap you can do 395, 396 kilometers an hour, which is about 245 miles an hour or something like that. So people are like, oh no, but you can do a jump here and then lean back and then use your nitro, and then you have to go in the menu and back out of the menu because that will refill the nitro. So there is some glitch abuse and all that kind of shit going on, which makes people go 300 miles an hour or 500 kilometers an hour. And then there are some other people showing up and they are like, yeah, but wait a minute. I'm not going to do 50 runs trying to get one good jump on that stupid speed trap because the air nitro is broken. So they started using lag switch. That is all of those guys that you can see doing 720 kilometers an hour on that speed trap now. That's what you have when you have broken situations in the game which can be abused. The same with the macro shifting bullshit. People are macro shifting clutch and upshift, they macro it, clutch and downshift, they macro it. And then there are even more people who even go a step further and they remove all the bullshit that they don't want, like horn and emote panel and whatever. They remove it from their right stick and they make their right stick a gearbox. Meaning that they will put the clutch and second gear on, let's say, right stick down, and clutch and third gear on right stick left, and so on. So you have upshift and downshift macro, and then especially for the cars with a lot of gears, then they have another little gearbox. Let's say they map separately this gear number 2, 3 and 4 on their right stick, also macroed with a clutch. You know, it gets annoying and boring after a while if you have to think about all that. The problem with that, of course, is that we were thinking a new island on top. That would also mean a new island to explore, new roads to discover. For Grand Race aspect, it would be more roads to drive on, because this is what is bothering me here now, is that all this casual sandbox playground stuff, that's all fine, but unless we create all kind of decent racing tracks over here on these sandbox islands, we're not going to get anything extra for Grand Race. So we're going to be sitting here with these slippery slide highway tracks on Maui, and then the tracks that we already know for 2 years now on Oahu. The devs are also running out of ideas for new routes by the looks of it, because every season again we have more and more highway tracks. They are boring. You have this overpowered slipstream. Is anything done with that? Probably not. The people coming out of the forest by respawning, standing still at 0 kilometers an hour and not being in a ghost mode, in transparent, that you can drive through them. Or at least 10-15 seconds or so till they are back up to speed. Have they changed that? Are these guys transparent, or are they just still standing there and people hit them in like 200 miles an hour? Probably not. More and more looks to me like whatever we have in Grand Race now, that will be it, and they just put bam, Grand Race on it. They didn't even think it through, so some people will be able to freeze their rank if they want to. So you have a mixed lobby of people doing ranked and unranked in one lobby. The further you think about it, that's one of their worst ideas ever. Some people find it cool, like, oh yeah, then you know. And next to that, it's going to change Grand Race, more than likely. Because, you know, if you thought you saw a lot of Gordon Murrays in racing now, wait till the rank mode shows up. Every single person, 20 of the 28 people, is going to be in a Grand Race. In racing, win a Gordon Murray. All the other 60, 70 cars, yeah, GG, garage daisies from now on, because everybody's going to drive the OP cars. So the aspect of, you know, driving whatever you want, or see if you can beat the Gordon Murray with something else, are you going to risk that if there is a rank involved? Probably not. No, I don't care. As always, I drive about 300, 350 cars from my 700 that we have, but some people drive 12 cars every day. When rank shows up, you're going to see a lot more of those people who only drive 12 cars every day. And it's even more going to be detailed. The sweatiest of the sweatiest people, they're going to go over every single route with a toothpick to make sure that they have the right car. You will not see Agueras or whatever on the highway anymore. No, you will only see Nobles. I think it's going to be even more sweatier, and it's going to push even more people out of Grand Race, which is a problem. It's already a problem at night now. There are no matchmaking servers at night. That is pretty clear. You have people teleporting left, back and center when you play at night, and that is probably because there are not enough people to fill up the servers on the different continents. So they put everything together at night. It was very clear the other day. It was around 12:30 or somewhere around the time like now, just after midnight over here, and we was doing Grand Race, and we saw all kind of names. You can see it on the names, right? They were like, it was Aziz and this and that, and like I'm like, okay, the Middle East guys are showing up. They are probably playing on their servers, but they don't have enough people, so they put them on EU, which is the closest by biggest servers they can get or something. So from midnight 12:30 on EU servers, you have the Middle East people coming in. Some of them have such bad internet that, or so high ping, that they are teleporting all over the place. You have no idea where they are. You see them in front of them, then suddenly you see them behind them, then you have left of you, right of you, and suddenly you crash into them because they spawn on top of you with their teleport. It's ridiculous. But that's the situation at the moment. Doesn't matter what matchmaking you put your servers on. At night, everything is mixed. Is rank gonna help for that? Probably not. because you're going to see more sweaties and the occasional casual, which is, let's say, maybe not that skilled or whatever, or doing whatever he wants, or driving the car that he wants with his friends in grand race, or doing some of these playground challenges where you have to do 10 grand races with an electric car, or get in top 15 with a Shelby or something like that. A lot of new people are still doing that. Yeah, those people are going to stay out. They're going to stay out of these lobbies. I don't know if it's going to change much. I don't think so. At this moment in time, things have changed already because they lost a bunch of players over summer. I feel like, going by the XP leaderboard, people that did something in the game. Before summer it was around 400,000 people. After summer, August and September, I checked the numbers at the end of the month. It was about 250, 260,000 people. So they lost about 150,000 people over summer. I think they're going to lose even more with this thing. The casual group might expand a bit, even bit more, and more competitives are going to leave the game because we're a bit left in the dark here. They come up with ranked mode, but more than likely they didn't change anything on Grand Race. So yeah, you're going to have a ranked mode mixed with people who don't drive ranked because they have frozen their rank. The collisions are probably still on, the ghost mode is still there, the slipstream drop bump is so overpowered, especially in the corners, it is ridiculous. If you have two people in front of you and 3 behind you, double slipstream and a triple drop bump from behind, you go into the corner, it feels like you're driving some sort of cloud and you have no more steering. The game takes over because of this overpowered thing, which they still haven't reduced after 2 years. And now the question, of course, is, have they changed anything with ranked being around the corner? Probably not. It's not their focus. Their focus is on the big numbers, the 65 people that want to do stupid stuff. They want to do loopings with a helicopter. That's why you can't fly the helicopters anymore. They want their guy on their motocross bike doing all kind of funny stuff on his bike. That's why the bikes don't have any steering anymore. Because they had to change the physics of these people sitting on there, on the bike, and the helicopter. They had to change the physics so that it could do a loop. And the result is that the bikes do not steer anymore and the helicopter is unflyable. Because they had to revert the controls. Which means if you now want to slow down in your helicopter, you just fall out of the sky because you have no more throttle input. This is what happens when the focus is on the casuals. Then you lose all of the driving and racing aspect of your game. On a game which is supposed to be about driving and racing. So it became clear to me, already in the showcase it became clear to me, but even more now. So when you see that the first thing that they release is something which is going to update in like 5 months from now. All the focus, also in the showcase, all the focus was on Season 9. So Season 8 is not even important to them. Although it starts in a week and a half. It's a bit strange, isn't it? Anyway, there we go. The Casual Motorfest game. And here we are. Trying to play a bit of racing and having some fun also becomes more and more challenging because that is definitely something that changed. A lot of the racers have left the building already, probably before summer. They're probably in that group of 150,000 people that left over summer. Which means you get more and more casuals also showing up in Grand Race and they cannot drive a car. Sorry to say so, but the average skill of the Grand Race player is below par. Every lobby, you have 3 to 5 people who are sorta fighting for the podium and actually have settings on their car and actually can drive a car and take corners. It's 3 to 5 people from the 28. The rest are just who knows what they are doing. You start a race, we are 3 corners in and half of them are already in the forest. So yeah, this is what we're having here. Casual showing up in Grand Race. Then we're gonna have a ranked race. It's gonna get more and more toxic. It was kind of okay the first 5 seasons because it was a mix of more racers around and less casuals. Season 6 it sort of became clear that we are getting a bit more casuals in the Grand Races. Season 7, very often it's a ramming fest. And that is not intentionally ramming, but that are people who don't know the tracks, so they miss corners. Those are people that don't have settings on their car because they never heard of the word pro settings or what any of those sliders do, so they just leave it be and drive with the def settings. Worst thing you can do in this game, but because every bar is in the middle, which means you have no camber, the brake balance is usually off, which means your brakes are not that good. Anti-roll bars are in the middle, which means you have a lot of body roll, which will make your car unstable, and the suspension in general is usually too soft, which makes your car bounce around, especially in sittings, and so you hit a footpath, you fly to the other side of the road. So you're gonna have to fiddle around with those settings if you want to make some proper settings on your car that work for you. Might be different your settings than somebody else, but as long as they work for you, that you have a stable car which stays on the road, doesn't get too much unstable when you hit a footpath or something. That's what you need to play around with those barriers. But casual players, they don't even know where the pro settings are, I think. But hey, that's where the focus is on. So as a grand racer and as a summit player, you're gonna have to make some decisions. There was a lot of talking about this map here. This map is also, it came by on Discord. I checked on the website. This map is not even posted on the website. It is. So this is probably a map released by the PR team from Paris, and then didn't communicate it with the community team, which is in Lyon, which means that this map is not even on the website. So it's posted on the Discord, so probably tomorrow there will be an article where they post this map on the website, because there are two different teams and they don't communicate very often with each other. That is also became clear over the years. Two different teams, they're 1,000 miles away from each other. Well, 1,000 kilometers away, I mean. So something like that. Paris to Lyon, 800 kilometers or so, probably. It's about 500 miles away from each other, and they do not communicate very much with each other.